Good morning, traders. This is Perry Wilkie with StartupTrading.com. It is Tuesday, September 15, 2020. So let's look back yesterday's action real quick. So on the bottom grid, we have the equity profiles overnight session for when the session opened at Sunday at 6 p.m. Really where the traders were trapped going into the bell that had participated in open entries just going into the bell on Sunday, right? So we can see that if we look at the bottom of this shaded green, no one was able to get going anything at all under the the bottom of value area low, right? So as we, churn through the first little bit in the morning, there were some attempts made, to go a little bit lower on the Dow and the Russell, and that failed. And as we've come up, right, and then we just kind of ended up building value higher. If we look at day over day, so the top part of this grid is from Friday's session between the bells, looking at where this box starts is looking at the bell after that. So we can see everyone paid up, everyone was bullish, and only the Nasdaq dipped down into even Friday's value area, right? No one came close to a gap fill. This purple line is the gap fill from Friday's settlement. No one came close to that. So basically we checked back into what we needed to check back into potentially last week. So looking at what's going on in the overnight session, I'm still expecting, there's a couple of things, I'm just going to watch. I'm going to watch this full halfway back short from the highs to the low. So that's going to come in around, and you can get these numbers exact. I'm just roughly throwing them in here. I could be missing the tops and bottoms by a little bit, but basically right around 34.31 is what I'm looking at. And then I'm also looking at just some basic support and resistance that I think will be a key tell. So if we look at basically the swing low from Thursday, September 3rd, right? And then we see that, it was also tried to hold again on the overnight session on Tuesday, September 7th, and then it became resistance on Wednesday and Thursday of last week, and then we're coming back up to it again. So I expect a little bit of a fight around this area. This is going to be from 34.1375 to 34.15 basically for me. So this is really the area of the chart that I'm going to be paying attention to. And we're coming up, we're at 3,400 basically right now. Our overnight session has had a range of 40 points, excuse me, and we're, coming up into, I think this is going to be a key line in the sand, not just for today's session, but really for the week ahead. Remember, we have the Fed, the FOMC, tomorrow at 2 p.m. Eastern Time. And, they're not going to do anything with rates, obviously, but they're going to give their economic outlook. That's going to be what really drives the market come out of there. And then they're going to do a little press conference where they try to draw a bone, whatever. But it's really going to be their economic forecast that really gets the bigger institutions to put money to work or reallocate money if they think they're positioned wrong based on that forecast. So let's look at all the indexes in the overnight session. So we got that 34.1375 that we're talking about. That's going to be between R2 and R3. So pay attention as we come up around this area of the chart for the ES. And then as we can see in the overnight session, the overnight low was barely below the settlement, inside of value, overnight low, right at just above value area low here for the NASDAQ. Below value area low for the ES, and right at value area low for the Dow. Looking at the overnight highs, right above yesterday's high of the day, which is this red dashed line, and then we're just going across. So again, we're getting close to the point where there should be some resistance. So we'll see what happens today. It should be an interesting session. I'm not expecting us to make traction above 34.1375 today, but if we do, it should even make a bigger squeeze, right? We have news pending tomorrow. That's the FOMC forecast. So that should put a little bit of a lid. And to be honest with you, we could end up going back to having an outside day right, for yesterday's bell session. We could end up closing below yesterday's lows. It's all on the table because really the market should not be moving today, if you ask me. So looking at the ES, and again, just getting above 34.95 after coming back down and checking this 3300 to 3392 zone, right? We checked it two different times. We checked it, twice last week, and now we're responding up. So to me, I'm not too worried about whether we end up above the 34.15 at the close today. I'm more concerned with can we hold above 33.95, and then we'll have 34.23, which is a longer term support resistance, than 34.47. Going backwards, right? If we dip back down again, I don't think we're really going to get under 33.62 half. So we didn't really look at the Nasdaq yesterday, so let's look at it today. Right, and the Nasdaq has really checked this big block that I threw on here. This is the range that I thought would be the consolidation range that the Nasdaq would have difficulty on any down, churning through this zone. So it dipped below it just a little bit at 10,940, and now you can see we're back above this 11,270. I think this is going to be a little critical for today's session, and then 11,430. 11,580 above. And you can see it stopped short of it when it sold, right? So there's some traders that will start to get washed out above this 11,430. And then basically, there's very little resistance, but I think the major resistance is going to come in right around 11,927. So one thing with my title of the video is the low end, and I'm really referring to the ES. So let's go back to look at that for a second. So, the range bound or new all-time high next, right? So this is the all-time high at 35.87. I think we're likely, to be honest with you, the tape's going to tell us what's going to go on as we approach these zones, but I think this is where we stall next time, right around this 35.0675 to 35.15. I think if once we get back up there, we're going to pull back down to just slightly above where we are right now, and then we'll sit there and back and fill. I think we're going to back and fill up in here, and potentially we could be backing and filling in here until the election in 2 months, right? So I'm going to look back at we'll glance real quick at the Dow and the Russell. We'll give some levels for them as well. So 28,150. Really, there's nothing for me until 28,385 after that. And then below, you've got 28,041 and 27,921. Looking at the Russell. The Russell has pierced over what I think is its critical line. That's 1534.30. So next up is 1551.10. That should be where it wants to stall out today. So we're getting close. So the ES and the Russell are really getting close to potential stall points for the day. I'm not going to change the context of this line, but you can see that there's a lot of overhead supply that really meets with that. You can see as we dropped. So above that, I think we could get to about the midpoint of this, which would be about 1560, but you need to see 1551 break. And I think as long as the Russell closes above 1534.30 today, that's really all it needs to do. Its job is done for the day, and it's sitting up here. So we could have just a little bit of consolidation up here again, just like yesterday, above yesterday's value area, and we could obviously pull down to 33.85, the point of control on all of these. Notice that the Nasdaq's point of control is all the way down at 11,240. So that is definitely on the table as well. I hope this helps. Look for no more explosion. I think we're about the top end of it today, unless we can pierce this 34.1375. Watch that for the ES. You guys have a great day. If you like this technical analysis, give the video a thumbs up. If you think someone might benefit from it,